and welcome to the fifth episode of the Dugout podcast. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks. Today I'm joined by my two co hosts, Laurie Finlayson and Ethan Barlow, back from holiday.
Yeah.
First of all, Laurie, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, pretty good. And can't wait to talk about transfers today. And even my team have actually got in on the action already.
Mm-hmm. Ethan, enjoy your holiday, mate. Good wee break.
Yeah, good to get away. Good to get some sun. Although I've seen it was sunny here as also. So yeah,
It's kind of been mixed. A bit of rain as well, so I'll bet you'll be glad you missed that. But, anyway, as Laurie mentioned, today we're talking about transfers. We're a football podcast, but we're Scottish football fans, so we're talking about the rumours there. Mostly the big two. Laurie's a Kilmarnock fan, so we'll be covering some of that as well. But first of all, we're recording this on the Tuesday. Don't know when we're going to put it up, but Scotland won 2-0 last night against Gibraltar. Goals from Shea Adams and Ryan Christie. Just first of all, boys, I'll come to you first, Ethan. What do you think of that?
yeah. Well, I didn't get to catch much of the match. I've just had to look at kind of second hand resources, but 2-0 against Gibraltar. It's a warm up game. It looked as if Steve Clarke experimented a bit with the team. So there's not really much you can take from the game. We created a lot of chances, and scored 2 goals. Probably can be a bit more clinical, which has maybe been the story of most Scotland games recently.
Hmm.
Um, the Netherlands coming to mind, and other games coming to mind, friendlies recently, which will need to change in the tournament because we're not going to get that many chances. But 2-0 win, could be better, but picking the straws really. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'd somewhat agree with that. There's not really much to talk about, but you want to add anything, Laurie?
No, nothing too much. I mean, kind of routine game. Of course, you expect to, you know, beat teams like Gibraltar, no disrespect. And of course, you want to beat them by more than two. And of course, we weren't very clinical at all, but we did dominate the game. I mean, a win's a win. It ends a 7-game winless run, so that's a positive take from it. And the real test will be on
Yeah.
Friday night against Finland.
Yeah, I think that will be. Speaking of the game against Finland, Tommy Conway's been brought into the Scotland squad. I think that's deserved. I think he should have been called up in the first place, to be honest. But big news, a blow for Scotland. Ben Doak injured, I believe, and he won't make it to this tournament. So one player in and another player out. Laurie, what are your feelings on that situation?
I think for Tommy Conway, it's good that he's been included. A bit of a shame for Ben Doak to have missed out, although I'm not overly surprised, but I'm hoping for Ben Doak's sake, it's not another injury. I'm hoping it's maybe he's just not fit enough after his previous
Uh-huh.
injuries. But it is a bit of a blow for him. But I'm delighted for Tommy Conway, who, as you say, definitely had a valid case for being called up first time around.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when we did our squads, we were just doing them for fun, and I had him in there. I think he deserves to be there, and I'm looking forward to maybe him getting an opportunity. Because with obviously Dykes out as well, it's him, Adams, and Shanklin, the main guys to look to up top. You get any thoughts on Ben Doak and Tommy Conway, Ethan?
No, I was obviously a bit of an advocate for Ben Doak to go just to get that experience as he looks like maybe the next big thing for Scotland. But obviously he's not played a lot at all recently. He's had injuries, and if he's not fit, then you'd rather take someone that's fit and can make an impact off the bench, which Conway is likely to do. I don't think he'll start.
No,
Um,
I agree with that. I don't think he'll start either.
and I think he's just. It also poses the question: is he going to bring someone in for Lyndon Dykes? He doesn't seem so.
Who? Sorry, I know maybe we get a bit sidetracked, but who the hell would you bring in?
Yeah,
Who is
that's
there?
it.
There's no one really. I think Tommy Conway, much nothing like Lyndon Dykes. I think Tommy Conway effectively as a Dykes replacement. That was happening even if Ben Doak
Yeah,
wasn't
I think
in the
yeah,
squad.
I think he would have been. I think Ben Doak's a blow. I agree with. Sorry to jump in there, Laurie, but I agree with that. I
Mm.
think he was the Dykes replacement. I don't know who is there. I can't think of another striker I'd bring in off the top of my head. You're a bit of a
Fifth
genius
striker.
with this, Laurie. What you get
Uh,
anyone?
in terms of fit Scottish strikers, no, because all of the other suggestions have had injury problems, be that Kevin Nisbet, I've seen Ross Stewart's name bandied about. They've all had injury problems. I mean, is
Ryan
the
Hardy?
and
Would you take a chance on him?
Ryan Hardy is another valid, shout, but then and he has been informed, but he's kind of in that same kind of ilk probably as Tommy Conway is really. Whereas I think Steve Clark quite likes the idea of promoting someone from the under 21 setup, like Conway was in there, and of course he actually scored for the 21s last night. So,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
Conway was in a better position.
This is probably a bit of a silly question. Is Conway like actually Scottish?
I, I think he's one of the. I could be wrong, but I think he's one of these like people who can represent Scotland through like a family member, like a grandparent or
Yeah.
whatever.
I just
I
find that
think
because you mentioned obviously he's playing for the 21s. Normally, guys who can represent England or whatever play till they're maybe like 24, 25, realise they're not making the England squad and then declare for us, like Shea Adams did. So I just thought that was interesting because I thought he was eligible to play through a relative, but yeah, just the fact that he was in the 21s just piqued my interest. But anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Well, I'm getting sidetracked. It's one of my specialties. But anyway, today we were talking about this is the transfer show. The summer is it obviously we've got the Euros this summer, but it's usually no football, just all speculation and rumours, all the exciting stuff. Who's going in, who's going out. Yeah, so we're here to talk about the transfers today, and we'll just lead off with Rangers, and I think it's going to be a very big summer for Rangers. I'll come to you, Ethan, first from the opposite end of the spectrum on the perspective. What do you think Rangers are going to need to do this summer, and how big do you think the undertaking is going to be of this rebuild?
I think it could be massive. I think they've already released 5 players, which I wouldn't say any of them were major absentees. They're all had their injury history and they've not hit the heights that they used to, especially with Barisic comes to mind. And I was just but I think there is a lot being done at Rangers, and there's still those links that even maybe James Tavernier and Goldson could go over to join Steven Gerrard in Saudi Arabia, which would mean they've been to the kind of cornerstones, you could say, of the Rangers teams over the last few years, and they would be big names that would need replaced. Obviously, Rangers have done some early business, which sets them up well. But still a lot needed. I would say, yeah.
Yeah, Laurie, come to you now. I guess you could say you're neutral. You probably don't like both the clubs, but you're not in the camp of either one. So, just quickly, how big do you think this summer is for Rangers?
I think this summer is huge for both of Glasgow's big two, to be honest, because Celtic in the season just gone, at least to me, someone who doesn't have an allegiance towards either club. It looks as if they were almost guilty of resting on the laurels to an extent, obviously having lost the likes of Jota, last summer, but they seem to just stand still, but still manage to win the league, which, if anything, does set off a major alarm bell at Ibrox. So it's a massive summer for both clubs, but particularly Rangers. And I mean, fair play to fair play to Rangers for being kind of proactive and getting business done early, although they had to, you could say.
Yeah. You both mentioned there about the business getting done early. Ethan, you mentioned about the players being released. So I've got some of the incomings and outgoings so far. John Lundstrom away, Borna Barisic away, Kemar Roof away, Ryan Jack, might come back to him later, and John McLaughlin, and obviously Fabio Silva's loan finishing up. Um, like I said, I don't think any, like Ethan said, I don't think any of them will be missed too sorely. Players that maybe didn't hit the heights, shrunk in the big game, cost us in big games. Thinking about Lundstrom in particular, Fabio Silva was a stopgap, in my opinion, and he did okay. He had some controversial moments, but he was fine. Um, but we look at the incomings. It's not really like a real one, but Mohamed Diamande, we've got him permanently now, I believe. Hefty, the Brazilian left back from Fluminense, he was on loan at Apoel. We wanted to get him in January, got him in. I think the fees around 800 grand, 900 grand, which is, I think it's a decent bit of business. Um, Cortez got him back on loan for a year, but this time it's an obligation to buy him. I'm not sure of the exact fee, but reports were saying that Long wanted to recoup the price they paid for him, which was around 4 million. So this is a really big season for him. And then Jose Cifuentes is coming back from his loan. Uh, Yanis Hadji and Sam Lammers. If I just go quickly to the guys coming back from loan, I can only see maybe a possibility that one of them could make an impact, and even that, I think that's just because he's a fan favourite. Yanis Hadji, I don't know about him. I really like him, but I don't know if Clement will like him. Sam Lammers looks like he's going to Utrecht or somewhere else in the Eredivisie, which has turned out actually all right because we could get a profit for him, which is unbelievable, considering how bad he was. And Jose Cifuentes, do you know what? I know Transfermarkt get it wrong a lot of the time, but I was looking at him and his profile. Apparently, his market value is 13 million.
Yeah, he was the. I can't remember when you signed him. He was very. He did have. I think the slogan going round was he was the highest valued player and something. He was the highest valued player for something. So he's probably not went down that much in a season or whatever.
No, but yeah, and I think we paid around a million or 2 million for him because his contract was running down. So yeah, but if we look at the signings there, I think that sort of speaks to the strategy we've been sort of employing over the past years. It's not worked. Sort of going for over the hill players for frees and stuff like that, and hoping they can make an impact. Obviously, we've had some successes, but it hasn't been as good as we'd want it to be. And I think also the trophy cabinet speaks to that as well. So if you look, Rangers are supposedly under a player trading model, but it looks like only now that they're starting to do it with Niels Coppen spearheading it. We're bringing in young players that we can hopefully sell on at the right time, um, which we've not done in the past with the likes of Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos, who we probably could have got like 45, 50 million combined for them at their peaks. Um, and we refused to sell. So yeah, young players, Mohamed Diamande, 22, Hefty, 20, Cortez, I think he's 19 or 20. So definitely that mould. And if you look at a lot of the rumours as well, that fits into it. But before we jump into the rumours, I've just got some thoughts on where I think Rangers should strengthen in the summer. I think we need another right back. probably some one or two centre halves. Few players in the middle, maybe more of a defensive midfielder as well. We need a right winger, and maybe some more strength on the wings, um, as well. And I think we need a starting striker. Oh, talking about guys who finished their loan, Abdallah Sima as well. I don't know if we could get him, but I'd love to see him back at Rangers. But yeah, those are my thoughts and where I think we need to strengthen. And I'll just come to you, Laurie. What do you think on the perspective of Rangers squad? Where do you think they need to strengthen?
I think you kind of laid it quite bare there that there's a lot of work, quite a lot of major work needs done there, and just two things that you mentioned towards the end. Well, in terms of a striker, do you not have much faith in Cyril Dessers? I mean, his numbers actually surprised me. He started the season quite poorly, but then
No,
look at the numbers, they're not so bad.
I think yeah, but I think we should try and bring in like someone who's guaranteed to start, and will obviously Danilo's coming back from his injury. We don't know how he's going to fare. Dessers, his goal tally was decent. I wouldn't have him starting. So you've sort of got a guy who's not good enough to start, and a guy who you don't know how he's going to come back from his injury. I don't want to go into the season like that. Um,
You know,
and we haven't had a lot of striker links. One was Albion Romani from Rapid Bucharest, whose manager is Neil Lennon, so that could be quite interesting. But he's got 16 goal and assists in 15 league appearances for them this season. I believe he's 23. He's a Kosovoan international, and that's a positive link. I think the fee was quoted at around maybe 6 million, and they're although Lennon doesn't want to. I think he said he didn't want to let him go there. The director has sort of said he is probably going to go somewhere, So maybe him. But yeah, back to my point. I think we do definitely need like a guaranteed 25 goal a season striker. Um, I don't know if you agree with that, Ethan, or if you get any other thoughts on where we need to go in the squad.
Um, yeah, for Rangers, I think you do need another striker. As you said, Dessers, his goal tally is pretty impressive this season, but a lot of people not happy with his play outside of his goals and the chances he's missed. And Danilo, you never know, it could be another story. A Kemar Roof for him shows a bit of promise, and then just an injury barren run for him. I think you would need to get someone in there that's going to guarantee you and going to push Dessers for a start, and a real quality striker who his overall play uh, fits Clement's system.
Yeah. Uh, oh, sorry, you cut out a bit there. Were you finished?
Yeah, I just said about Clement's system.
All right. Okay.
A striker that fits his system. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think you definitely need someone who can play. Oh, I don't know why I'm leaning out of frame there. Who can play the link up. Struggling to get the words out there. But yeah, someone good on the ball. But you need a stone cold finisher. We haven't seen that maybe since Alfredo Morelos that one season where he scored 29 goals in all competitions in the first half, but then he fell off a cliff. So it's an interesting one. This is a long list, but I'll just dive into the rumours. Uh, Liam Kelly pretty much confirmed in backup goalkeeper. I wouldn't want him starting, but he's fine as a backup. John McLaughlin going out. We'll have him, Liam Kelly, and Robbie McCrory. Although I think it's been rumoured that McCrory's handed in a transfer request, don't know, Laurie, maybe something Kilmarnock could be looking at.
I mean, I have heard his name mentioned a couple of times, but I don't know if, again, I don't know if it's anything serious, obviously, but he's the sort of guy that we could feasibly get in a permanent goalkeeper, and that is something that, that we kind of want, a solid goalkeeper who could be here in the long term. Plus, this might tempt more to come on. I think Roy McCrory's actually from Ayrshire, if I'm not mistaken, so who knows? He might be tempted for locality reasons.
Uh-huh. Would you take him?
Yeah, whereas I've not always been McCrory's biggest fan because I know he make the odd clanging on him, but he's probably, he's a decent, SPFL keeper, and if he's the sort of guy that we can have permanently long term, I
Yeah,
think I would definitely take him, yeah.
I think he's had the odd clanger in him, but you've got to remember he was 20, 21, 22, getting loaned out to Livingston, starting for them. So now he's 26 and he's probably going to be third choice. And although goalkeepers' careers are longer, he's getting towards the back
Yeah,
end. So
it's not the thing you want to start playing
yeah,
and start
definitely.
being a
Um,
number one.
there's another one. I'm going to butcher this pronunciation. Ruel Walters, I think, or Ruel for Arsenal, right back, centre half, I believe. 19 years old. His contract's expiring. I've seen on Twitter a lot of Arsenal fans are gutted that they're letting him go. Um, it would be like if I think it was likened to if Rangers when we had Nathan Patterson, if he went for nothing, if he left on a free, that good, that talent. Um, Obviously, in an Arsenal perspective, it's a lot better than Rangers, uh, but yeah, he rejected a new deal, and I think it's a case of like a 350,000 development fee, and Rangers have benefited from that in the past.
Yeah.
Definitely with the likes of Joe Aribo and Calvin Bassey, who are sold on for profits. So um, I don't know much about the guy. I'm going to be honest. I was looking and it was difficult to find. I think he's made around 20 appearances, senior appearances this season, which is pretty good. Um, but I don't know. I mean,
I
if
What
it's
mean,
club
a
was he? What
sorry,
club? Sorry, what club was it he was playing at?
Arsenal.
Oh, it's all right. Okay, what was it? What senior appearances for Arsenal?
Yeah, I think so this season.
in the League Cup and stuff, probably.
Oh, right.
I
Okay.
don't know. I think I saw something. It might be in all time. I don't know. I
All
probably
right.
should have wrote that down properly. But
I mean, what I can say about him, for what it's worth, maybe not super reliable, maybe something that transfer marks can be better. I've seen the guy on Football Manager before. I'm actually a bit of a Football Manager addict, and from what I can remember, he can actually, as much as he's primarily a right back, he can play right across the defence on
yeah, yeah,
FM. I remember,
he
so
he, he can
he's a,
play right across the defence, but I think he prefers right back and centre half,
yeah.
sort of to
But
the left back position.
he sounds like a good guy to have kind of around, especially if it's only that development fee. Sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and also, well, if it's another Calvin Bassey scenario, the guy kind of hung about for a year, not really doing much. Then he's into the squad. Then we sell him for like 28 million the next year.
Mhm.
So if it's something along those lines, I'd be really happy with that. Definitely. Um, but yeah, a lot of like I said, a lot of rumours flying about. Um, Interesting stuff. Here's another name that I'm going to mess up. Ray Hobayo Mofokeng from Orlando Pirates. Um, 19 years old, South African winger, 11 goals and assists for them this season. I think the fee was looking at around £400,000. Um, Although the South African coach doesn't want him to go, the national coach, he wants him to spend another year and then move abroad. He thinks it could stunt his development. But yeah, I don't know much about him either. But it fits in with the sort of pattern of young players, sort of unexplored markets as well. Guys you can bring in for decent fees. Hopefully they do you a good service while they're there, and they raise their profile, they raise their stock, and then you can sell them on. And I think that's what Rangers should be doing with all of their targets. Just to continue on with the links there, Damien Garcia is another one, a 20-year-old midfielder, a defensive midfielder, Uruguayan, plays for Penarol, um, which Ethan, I'm sure you know, is the team of Fede Valverde. After us,
Yes.
after us forgetting countless times, but yeah, um, not a lot about him here. Uh, his coach obviously doesn't want him to go, but he's got uh, 6 months left on his deal. Um, but it's believed the player wants to go this summer. So yeah, it could be. I think it's all of these players are, like I said, are unexplored markets. You don't know a lot about them, so it's taking a chance. But I'm actually I'm liking what I'm seeing. Um, Maybe even we'll get the next Fede Valverde. You never know. Uh, but aye, that's another one. Another one we've been linked with is Adama Traore. Not that one. He plays for Ferencváros, 28-year-old Malian winger. 7 goals, 1 assist, and 13 appearances. He's a right winger, which is a position I think we need to strengthen it. I think the fee was maybe. Oh no, I had this, but I think it's 3.5 million for him. Although apparently he's injury prone, which Rangers do not need.
I'm going to say it means he would blame then. But
Yeah, definitely. Uh, the next one, Stoyan Lekovi, he's a goalkeeper. Um, Plays for, I believe, Red Red Nicky. I think that's how you say it. 1923. Serbian, 22 years old. It's an interesting one considering we're bringing in Liam Kelly. Maybe he's the third. Maybe he's the Robbie McCrory replacement. We don't know. But 22-year-old goalkeeper is an interesting one for the future. Because as well, Liam Kelly's like 29, I want to say.
that sounds about right.
And Jack Butland's in his 30s. So although goalkeepers can play for a long time, when Jack Butland's like 38, or if he's still at us, that is, because he's been linked with a move. Um, Not to anyone specific, but there's been rumours flying about. Um, but Jack, if when he's like 38, Liam Kelly's like 34 or whatever. I don't know. I didn't do the math properly there, I don't think. But yeah, um, this guy will be obviously coming up to Kelly's age just now. 28, I think. You've helpfully informed me there, Laurie, in the wee chat there. But yeah, um, kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, 22-year-old goalkeeper. I think that would be a good one to bring in. Next one, he's a bit more known. Ben Johnson, West Ham right back. Uh, get him on a free transfer. Leeds are linked to him. 24 years old. Seen reports saying he'd be the long-term successor to James Tavernier, who you mentioned there, Ethan. Could be away with Connor Goldson. Steven Gerrard sort of pushing for them, I believe, to go to Al Ettifaq. But yeah, I just want to get your thoughts, Ethan, on this particular transfer, a bit more of a known name.
Yeah, I think obviously he's got Premier League experience, but West Ham are willing to let him go, then he's definitely there to be looked at. And if James Tavernier goes, then he's a light replacement. He obviously doesn't offer the attacking threat that Tavernier does, but he's been a solid player for West Ham, and he'd be a good signing.
Yeah, you get any thoughts on that there, Laurie?
Yeah, I think again, kind of echoing what Ethan said very much. Solid player, good pedigree. Although it's quite refreshing to hear that Rangers seem to be preparing potentially for life out Tavernier. Because to me, from the outside looking in, Rangers recruitment sometimes appear quite panicked in the past. Whereas here, it looks like you're looking at Ben Johnson and you're looking at the boy from Arsenal, Will Walters, who we mentioned. That's two guys who look pretty solid in terms of right back options. So at least Rangers are trying to get ahead of the game if Tavernier were to leave.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something that we haven't thought about for a long time. Um, not just Tavernier, just in general. And I think Niels Coppin's come in and he's changing the club to the way it should be run.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I agree with that. Looking to the future, although Tavernier will be sorely missed, he can't be there forever. And even last season, I think we've seen his legs maybe are starting to go a little bit. And one other one. This is Thomas Galdanas, I think. He's a Chilean centre half, plays for Godoy Cruz in Argentina, and he's got 6 months left on his deal. 25 years old, so he's matured. Centre halves, you don't normally know how good they're going to be they're um, until they're older. That's why Man City paid so much for Josko Vardy, although he's been playing left back. He, because Pep just does what he wants. He's a centre half who at 21 was so consistent and was one of the best in the world, and he kept that up. Centre halves normally don't find that consistency until they get to sort of the 25, 26, coming towards the peak of their career. So I think a centre half is definitely needed. Lad Balogun's contract's been extended, but he might not be fit enough to play every week. Goldson might be away, and I don't suit our Ben Davies. I don't really trust them, so I think a centre half is definitely needed for Rangers. That's sort of all the rumours I've got there. Um, but yeah, and all the areas that we need, it's extensive, and like we covered earlier, it's going to be a massive rebuild for Rangers. And if they want to, I think they need to back Philip Clement because I believe he is a good manager. A lot of the stats been banded about. He's got the same statistics as Michael Beale. I think we all can see, right? He's a better manager than Michael Beale.
100%.
Um, but yeah, I think they definitely need to back him. It's going to be a big summer. But moving on from Rangers onto the other side of Glasgow, um, Celtic. Just want to come to you, Ethan, as our resident expert to get us kicked off.
Yeah, I think Celtic, as Rangers, a big window ahead. Maybe there's not going to be as much a turnover as it's not going to be any state of when Ange came in. But definitely a few signings needed to keep us ticking over and keep us at the top of the league and to compete in the Champions League is what every Celtic fan wants. I think it's been fine margins, although sometimes it maybe doesn't look that way. It's been fine margins in most of the games in the last few seasons of the Champions League, and just that little bit more quality can possibly let us compete rather than slumping at the bottom of the groups.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think Celtic obviously operate a similar model to Rangers. They kind of buy cheap and sell on, which the scattergun approach of last season did not pay off at all. I'm sure everyone's seen the stats about how many the players signed and how many actually started X amount of games and whatever. And obviously the one positive signing from last season, or the two positive signings from last season, were the two loan signings. Obviously, most of the talk has been about getting them back. I think, by the looks of it, the Paulo Bernardo one is looking all but finished. Um, it's not been done yet, but the Benfica don't want him. It seems, and he wants to come to Celtic, and Celtic want him. So that should lead to a foregone conclusion there. They're just trying to lower the fee, I think,
Yeah.
down from the 6.5 million.
Can I just jump? Yeah, 7.5. I was going to ask you about the fee there. What do you think of its 7.5 million fee for
I
Bernardo
think
for
I
a
think it's
guy that's sorry?
6.5 is the release. I think it's on his release clause or something like that, and Celtic have got first stabs on whether they want to pay that. But I think they are trying to bring it down towards 4 million, which I think 4 million is definitely a more suitable
I
fee for
think
him.
4 million is more realistic for Bernardo, definitely. For a guy, although it looks like O'Reilly will be away, right? But if O'Reilly stays, if you pay like 6.5 million for a guy, it looks like he might not even start. I think that's a bit, you know. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, the other one, Adamida, scored tonight as we're recording for Ireland. I seen at least scored one. I don't know if he's added to that tally. But he had he's probably the most doubted signing we had, and he's turned out to be the best signing on loan. And again, like Bernardo, it seems he wants to be back, and Celtic want him to be back. There's other strikers been floating around, and for what Celtic need, I think definitely at least one striker. I doubt we'll get two because we've still got there, although he's not featured much recently. I think he'll most likely go out on loan actually to further his development. Um, yeah, I think Ida for 6 million, it might be a bit expensive. But that's the kind of going rate I think for a player who's scoring as consistently as he did.
Yeah, we were talking about this. It's a funny one because I think Adamida is worth 6 million, but in terms of a club strategy, bringing in a guy, a club with Celtic size, bringing in a guy for 6 million who's not even guaranteed to start, sorts goes back to Bernardo, but this one's a bit more cut and dry because if Kyogo goes back to what we know he can do, Adamida's not getting a sniff, and you've got a £6 million bench player. So it's an interesting one. I
Yeah,
just don't know if yet.
because
Sorry, Laurie.
sorry. I mean, in Scottish football, having a £6 million bench player just doesn't work. And maybe I'm just ranting off here as the fan of a smaller club, but a £6 million bench player sounds mental. I don't know. I think it was mental enough when Rangers spent 7 million on Ryan Kent, who generally speaking did well. But the point is, £6 or £7 million in Scottish football is big money, and that's not the sort of money you can have sitting on your bench. And we've got to remember Adam Idah, who did pretty well in a Celtic shirt, I hasten to add. Everyone thought that was a terrible panic saying at first. I mean, and Brendan Rodgers was too busy ranting at the Celtic board, really, to even appreciate it at the time.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it was a panic buy, well, panic loan rather, as well. But it turned out really, really well in the end. And I hope Celtic don't sign him from a Rangers fan's perspective because he brings something different. I always go back to the 3-3 game at Ibrox. I think we were really penning Celtic in. Kyogo, they were going long ball. Kyogo wasn't holding anything up. They bring Ida on, changes the whole game, and he scores. Although Matondo scored that beautiful goal just a few minutes later to tie up the game. It's those moments that if they hadn't have done that, Rangers might have won that game, and the pendulum might have swung the other way. So he was definitely been a big player, and he's scored a lot of big moments, and he's got a lot of big goals in his catalogue. He's not just like scoring when it doesn't mean anything. He shows up in the big moments, and I think that would be a great signing for Celtic.
Yeah, and I think we will sign him as we will sign Bernardo. I think they're just a matter of time with those two. I'd hope, unless there's any unexpected twists. So I think that'll be the striker role kind of nailed off. I think I'd be happy to go into the season with just those two, with all developing at another club on loan. Was like with Kyogo going back to Japan, which I found quite strange, and there was a quoted fee of 3 million, which is I think ridiculous.
Hmm.
Despite his age, he's just under 30, but 3 million for Kyogo, and the next fee I think was reported was 10, and even still,
Do you think
I don't
ten's
think.
a bit? You wouldn't take 10?
No, no, I wouldn't
Not
for
even
Kyogo.
after the season he's had?
No,
That's
I wouldn't take
interesting,
ten
man.
million. I don't think you'd be able to go into if you were to sell Kyogo now and you don't have you wouldn't have a striker because we don't have Ida yet. Um, then to go into striker, what I reckon, go into season with a recognised striker would be,
It'd be
well,
nuts.
yes, it would, and that's why I think we should keep Kyogo and sign Ida. We've also been linked with the fairy tale move, you could say, back for Hudson Edward. Obviously, he's not getting game time at Palace under Oliver Glasner with Mateta's recent form. He'd probably cost a bit more than Ida, and I'd be willing to take the jump over Ida, but I don't think I don't think that's really how Celtic work, and I doubt they would take that leap. Probably
Yeah.
looking at probably at least £10 million for Edward.
I just want to dive back in with that. You sort of go back. You have a maybe a new issue as well if you bring in Odsonne Edward. And you've got Edward and Kyogo. Edward will want to start. Maybe like the difference is it's a bigger fee, right, than Adam Ida, but there's also a big difference is Ida might be happy to sit on the bench. He seems to love it at Celtic. He's really good in his role. He has a good thing going. Edward will want to start every week. And maybe Brendan Rodgers has that in mind. Maybe Brendan Rodgers would move Kyogo to the bench. I don't see that happening because of what Kyogo can do. But yeah, I think that those are the issues: the fees and the demand from Edward, especially. I think those are the issues that can present themselves.
I think to counter what you've said there, I think to have those two players, and if you had the opportunity to get Edward back, and I think if he wanted to come back, which I think he probably does, if he's not getting offers in the Premier League, then to play in the Champions League where he's loved at Celtic, he'd be wanting to. If we could give him enough money, he'd want to come
Is he
back.
loved at Celtic?
I think he is. I think he has
Is
loved
he
at
not been
Celtic.
branded with traitor or whatever? Or
Some people say that, but some people would say that for Kieran Tierney, and I think in same way Ange Postecoglou, but
I think that's
there's not.
crazy to say that to anyone who's leaving to go to the Premier League, especially.
Yeah,
I don't know what your thoughts on that there, Laurie, in the striker situation.
Some of what you can say it was really interesting around the rumored fees for Kyo and stuff. But as for the actual strikers who have been rumored, I mean, Ida against Edouard is very much a good debate, of course. But both of them have done well for Celtic. Of course, Edouard over a more sustained period of time. But I think it's a tough one because I kind of wonder with someone like Odsonne Edouard. Would Celtic even be able to afford his wages? Never mind transfer fee or whatever. You wonder whether if there are one of these ones, maybe a loan would be more feasible. But I don't know. It's tough to weigh up because, as you say, there's the inevitable competition between Odds and Edwards and Kyogo. And as for the thing about calling Odds and Edwards, Kieran Tierney, Angelo Scoglie, or any, you know, former Celtic star who goes to the Premier League to spend his career a traitor. That is mental. And of course, if Edouard does come back, he very much will want to be adored by the Celtic fans.
hmm You mentioned there about wages. I just want to pose a question to Ethan. It's pure speculation. Do you think Edward would take a cut to come to use?
I think it depends on the offers. I think he loved his time at Celtic. I think it was the right time for him to go. I wouldn't blame any player moving to the Premier League. That's
No,
obviously the elite level of football, and I think he moved at the right time. He had a good time at Celtic, and but if he's not getting offers from top clubs and he's willing to take a slight wage cut, where he would probably be the second highest earner at the club behind Captain Cal McGregor under Celtic's wage structure, which maybe needs revamped. But I think if you have two players like that, Brendan Rodgers would fit both of them into a team, whether it's a change of formation or Kyogo actually started his first game. I think it was at Tynecastle when he came off the bench. He was on the wing, and he's played off the wing a few
he's
times.
quite poor on the wing.
Yeah, I know.
He get
He's not the
he
answer.
get pocketed by Leon Balogun at right back on the wing.
Right, okay, but he is still one of the best players in the country on his day, and I think Edward can play off the left as well, and he has done for Celtic. He did at the start of his Celtic tenure, and I think it was a thing. I think Ancelotti said about Roberto Baggio when he didn't want to sign Baggio because he didn't play with a 10. And he said after he made the mistake of doing that and letting Baggio go elsewhere, he changed his policy on that, and he said that he'd get any player, the best players, he'd fit his team around them, and then I think Brendan Rodgers would be the same.
Did you just compare Odson Edward to Roberto Baggio?
Yes, I did.
That's one for the history books. You've got
Now
Baggio,
now
Odson
I'm
Edward.
trying to imagine Olsen Edward with a ponytail
No,
I
but
hope you understand.
and missing a penalty.
I do think you make some interesting points and I understand of what you're meaning about. You find a way to make it happen if the player's good enough.
Yeah.
Um, but it's- but you know what this is good for Celtic? All these problems we're talking about are positive problems. You know, having two or three strikers who's going to start because they're all good. You know what I mean? So I think it's definitely something that Celtic fans should be fairly happy about. That's their issues. Um, yeah. Just moving on from the striker position. Is there other areas that you believe? Obviously, you mentioned Bernardo should be probably coming in the midfield, but is there any other areas that you think Celtic should be going for?
I think going forward to front, or back to front, sorry. I think a goalkeeper's obvious. Joe Hart replacement number one. I think we could see Siegrist go. I'd probably like to see him go because he's not. He was signed as a backup, and he's not even a backup anymore. He's probably on quite a nice wage as well. So I'd probably move him on. But signing to the goalkeepers, signing a goalkeeper that you want to come in that's happy to be second choice is difficult. Obviously, we're talking about Rangers finding possibly someone there from the Serbian league, but it is difficult. So maybe just keep Siegrist and go for a first choice keeper, which we've been linked with a plethora. I'm sure you and the viewers have seen.
Yeah,
Uh,
Cohen Casteels.
yes, he wasn't
Mad.
even one that I have listed. That's how many I've seen linked with. I'll go with some. I'll go for the most recent ones. I seen Viljami Sine Salo. He's Aston Villa goalkeeper. He was on loan at Exeter last season. He's probably obviously not going to get a sniff. Aston Villa, and he's one of his teammates came out and said that there was stories of Celtic, and there's no point in him going back to a League One club because he's above that level.
Is
Um,
he the Finnish goalie?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Good,
Right.
He's
correct.
played Scottish football before as well. He's
Yeah.
got a bit of Scottish football experience.
Right.
He was at United for a year. It's the
Yeah.
first time I've
Oh,
those guys
oh,
on the podcast.
you won't like him there, Laurie.
Right, so personally, I don't want Celtic to sign him. To be fair, Kelly have two ex-United players in their rank, so I can't really comment.
Yeah, it's funny, but aye. I saw one. if you don't mind me just jumping in here.
Yeah.
Robin Olsen.
Oh
Um,
no, I haven't seen that.
yeah, so I don't know how it was on 67 Hail Hail. I don't know how reliable they are, so I'm not completely clued up with the Celtic fan media. But Robin Olsen, he's quite old, I think. Um, Similar age to maybe when Joe Hart signed. I think he's a Swedish international.
Yep.
He's had a decent career. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I like the kind of we've been linked with loads of goalkeepers over the last month or so, and I think but I would ideally I kind of want to go for someone a bit younger that's coming into the prime of their career, and I think we should go try and aim for that as our first choice definitely. Um, I think we should maybe even aim higher than the likes of Sinisalo, as I've just mentioned there. I think the marquee name that can be the most expensive keeper was Ergukan Kakir or Kachir, the Turkish goalkeeper at Trabzonspor. I think he's made it pretty clear that he wants to kind of go to a club of a higher level and elevate his career in Europe. Apparently, he's rejected moves from Saudi Arabia, but that
Yeah,
would be talking big money for him. £7.5 million, I think, was the quoted fee. I've not
yeah.
heard much of that, but recently.
Were Celtic also linked with the goalie at Man United, or am I making that up? By India.
No, 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 you're correct. But that move, I think it was rubbish by both sides, both kind of
Oh, right,
media.
okay.
That was somebody that had just kind of made that up. I think Bayern Deer does want away from Man United to get game time. Um, but I don't think Celtic are in contention to sign him. Much
Yeah.
like I think it'll be the same case with Kelleher at Liverpool. I think I'd love to have him at Celtic. He's a great goalkeeper, but again, I think Celtic would be priced out of a move for him. He's
What
done
about
some
a loan deal?
a loan deal, definitely. I think I could see that, but a permanent deal. I've seen 10 million as a quoted fee, but I think it even maybe even be more than that.
That's,
Um,
that's a lot to spend on a goalkeeper, especially for a club like
yeah,
Celtic. And I'm not
yeah,
meaning that in any offensive way. I'm meaning in terms of the level over which their finances are compared to the rest of football on the world stage. Because obviously
yeah.
Rangers and a lot of I think a lot of fans don't accept that Rangers and Celtic are selling clubs. Um, but yeah, Kelleher. Um, I don't know about Kelleher because it's a big fee, but I don't think I could have seen him going from Liverpool while Jurgen Klopp was there. Because I feel like he was sort of Klopp had like a soft spot for him. I don't know. But now he, I thought, I think he would be a good signing for Celtic. It's another case of not obviously the same level, but talking about Robbie McCrory earlier, a guy who's backup but could be starting somewhere else because he's a top quality goalkeeper. So yeah, that's definitely an interesting one. Is there any others that you've seen, or you want to?
Um, a few I've seen Asmir Begovic. He's 36. He's just finished his one season he had at QPR, and he's now a free agent. Apparently, Newcastle and Bournemouth and West Ham are also trying to get
Yeah,
his signature.
me and
Um,
Laurie were talking about that the other day. Actually, thought that was
uh,
interesting.
yeah, and the
Yeah,
other ones which seem for other circumstances maybe not likely is Daniel Peretz, the Bayern number 2, Israel international, which
mm,
probably isn't going to work with
I don't think
Bilal
he'd want.
Abada's situation.
Yeah, I don't think he'd want to come
And
to Celtic.
yeah, with how Abada it kind of ended with Abada, and he was kind of told to leave Celtic really by Israelis really. I don't think Perez is likely to come to Celtic. And the other one was Kenan Piric. He's just had 2 seasons at AEK Larnaca, but he didn't sign a new deal. He's been linked with Celtic, and he said as a free agent he was looking to impress for Bosnia against England. put himself on because he's on the shop market now, but he didn't even start against England, so out too well for him. Southampton and Sheffield United are also interested in him apparently. That's all for the goalkeeper talk. I think there are probably more names that I've missed because there's been hundreds, but that's what I've seen so far.
Yeah, goalkeepers are always the funny one. Loads of names get bandied about. Do you feel that any areas of defence need strengthening? Maybe another left back that they were calling out for in January.
Yeah, definitely a left back. I've not seen much recently. I seen the most recent one I seen was Harrison Burrows at Peterborough. He's attracting a lot of attention. They recently turned down a £5 million offer for him.
Oh wow!
With 12 months left on his deal, so they're charging a lot for him.
Are Peterborough still in League One or the Championship
I
now?
think they got promoted. Is that right?
They might have got promoted. They were in the championship a couple of years ago, but I can't think now. They're one
I
of
think they
those kind
might
of
have went
teams.
back down actually.
Yeah, I think they might have. The gut saying he went back down.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
He's 22. He's their captain. 12 goals and 17 assists this season, which is very
He's a
impressive.
left back.
Yeah,
I can see why they're turning down that. I mean, in League One, but still, those numbers that can't be ignored. James
yeah,
Tavernier type numbers.
yeah. I don't know. That's the only thing I've really seen at left back. There was a few weeks ago. There was a Shakhtar Donetsk Georgian left back we were linked with. The name's escaping me, but I haven't seen much on him. He wasn't selected for Georgia's Euro squad, which surprised quite a few people. That's all I've seen for left back, and I think that's definitely a position of strength. And along with left-footed central defenders, I think I've seen the main two I've seen is Scott McKenna. He's obviously now a free agent. But his wage demand might not might just be out of Celtic's reach coming from Nottingham Forest. And then the other one I've seen that's been floating around a lot is Daniel Amati. He
I've
obviously
seen that as well. I've got that
worked
down
for
here.
Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. He had apparently a disappointing season at Besiktas since leaving Leicester. And now Celtic are linked with him as probably Brendan Rodgers feels he can get the best out of him. Feel like there's a bit of deadwood to be moved on in central defence, especially with Lagerbielka and Kobayashi. I think they need to go. There might even be another departure, maybe Welsh or Navorski, but I would keep both of them about. And that's just my thoughts. If any of you have any thoughts on that.
On the centre halves there, you asked about, yeah, just your question there. Any thoughts? I don't know. I feel like Lager Bielka should be moved on. I don't know. I feel like you should definitely move on Stephen Welsh. I just feel like he's dead wood. I don't.
Was Stephen Wolf not given a new contract? I could be wrong there.
Possibly. I think in the last season he might have been given a new contract. I think you might be right. I think Stephen Welsh. It's just I don't know. He's just had a really difficult time with injuries. He's like I think that the last game he played perfectly summed up his Celtic career. He had a pretty solid game, barring the obvious error he made leading to the St Mirren penalty. I think it was St Mirren we were playing. I'm pretty sure. And then he got injured, which just sums up his career all in one game.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've just looked at the contract situation. So it was last summer he signed it. However, at the time it was a 4-year extension that will keep him at Parkhead until 2027. So he's in it for the long haul, it seems.
Yeah, but it's Laurie. Like, it's
No,
diff.
okay.
I feel like contracts are different. The
No,
way
No,
right.
we,
you're right. You're right.
because I don't know if when you guys sign someone on a a, a long-term deal, you're like good, or we'll get a big fee for him.
Yeah.
We don't really think about the contracts. I don't know if that's me being snobbish or I don't
It's
know.
it's not snobbish, make a valid point. Is in if Kilmarnock or any like smaller SPFL club was to sign a player on a 3-year deal, we all kind of go, oh wow, that's weird. I know it's weird to you guys, but like if we send someone like say a 3-year deal or even say a 4-year in the case of that Stephen Welsh extension, that's that seems crazy to us, and I
That's
don't think
quite
that's what
regular.
Kilmarnock.
That's quite regular. 3, 4, 5 is
Mm.
anything below that. We're kind of like, oh, we're not really thinking about keeping him for the long term, that sort of thing. So
And I actually agree with that, but it's just one of these things about how small clubs tend to
it's
operate. Toby's
probably
still
a
the 3 year.
finance thing as well.
Yeah.
No, but I do think I do agree with Laurie's point. Like, for example, we signed James McCarthy on a 4-year deal, which sounds crazy still. Um, so he's obviously still got a year on his contract.
I'm sorry. It's not
Yeah.
professional. I shouldn't be laughing at that, but
No, it is hilarious, the state of affairs.
he's got a year
Um,
left. Wait, he's been there
yeah.
for 3 years.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he
And
extended Ange's first season,
Yeah.
and
and
how
he's played
many?
about 3 games.
I was going to say how many games they played.
Yeah. And
Has he just been
that's why
hanging about like a bad smell at the training ground? All right, lads, I'm still
probably,
here.
probably and that's why it'll be so difficult to move him on because he'll be on a decent wage package and a long deal. Same with Welsh, probably, where he'll look at clubs that are offering him money and he'll go, "Ah, well, that's nowhere near what I'm getting at Celtic. Why would I move there?" And that's why it's difficult to kind of push these players at the club. That I think it'll be the same when maybe someone that likes a Seagrist. Um, I think players like Lager Bielka possibly a wee bit easier because he had he showed promise at his last club and he's just had a difficult time at Celtic and sometimes it just doesn't work out. But did come to Celtic as a Swedish international and it's just really not worked out for him.
Yeah. Can I ask you something? Do you think there's any chance Carter Vickers will be sold?
No, I don't think so. I
E-
haven't seen any.
Even if the right offer comes in?
Well, if the right offer comes in, but what is depending
What,
on what you're saying the right offer is.
20 million?
20 million.
Yeah. Is
I
that too
think
high?
no, I don't know. I don't know if that's too high because I think he's he gets his plaudits, but I think he maybe even is underappreciated at Celtic how good he actually is. He's seen the
Can tell you I don't
cup.
underappreciate him. He's one of the most frustrating guys
Yeah,
to play against. He's like anything. The one thing
yeah,
that always amazes me, I don't think he's ever lost a header.
yeah,
It's nuts.
Okay.
yeah. It's he has very he has brilliant and brilliant to have at Celtic. So I'm surprised he doesn't get looked away at more clubs in the Premier League or whatever. And I'm surprised we were even able to get him from Spurs. But there's maybe data and stuff that you don't see that doesn't fit certain clubs. That's even like um, the stats and analysis that's been doing the rounds on the Celtic Twitter recently from Stuart Ross. It's done a brilliant slideshow almost from the season and reviewing the season past and all the squad and possible transfer targets for Celtic. It's a brilliant bit of resource and brilliant work he's done there. So for all Celtic fans and any Scottish football fans, I'd go and check that out. But it's
hmm
just with Carter Vickers, I think he's a no sell unless you're looking at a ridiculous fee like 20 million.
hmm Right. Talking about big fees, hell of a segue here. Let's go into the midfield. Matt O'Reilly didn't make the Denmark squad. controversially for a lot of people, a lot of Danish people as well, who I think Ethan, you said they were surprised because they thought he was in with a shout of starting.
Yeah.
Um, but it looks like he'll be heading out this summer, possibly to Atletico Madrid. I don't know if their interest is still there.
I think it is.
From January, I've not seen any other main lights to him. I don't know if I missed them, but we're talking about Matt O'Reilly before we sort of dive into the rest in the midfield and who you think you're going to sign, or what do you think you should be getting for him, and where do you think he'll go?
See, the fee is, it's unknown. I think for the length on his contract he's got remaining, and there's no need for Celtic to sell. I think we should be looking at a Scottish transfer record, which should be sitting around £30 million. I think. If you compare to other leagues, I've seen recently Shakhtar Donetsk were charging €70 million for Georgi Sudakov, who he's not had as good a season in the Ukrainian league. It obviously doesn't work like that with
Yeah.
Sudakov being a little bit younger, but I
Chelsea
don't
sent a
know.
precedent, though there isn't. Like there's a precedent there. Chelsea set a precedent in that league. Um, there's
Yeah,
not a precedent in Scotland for those fees. We typically get lowballed. I think even especially in today's market, if you look at the prices mentioned, Chelsea setting the precedent with Mudryk, and now I think it's silly. Um, the fees getting banded around because I think 30 million is probably right for O'Reilly. Um, but if we're talking about the inflated market, I feel like they should be getting more.
yeah. I think for Celtic, with the length on his contract, and the amount of clubs, although I've only really seen Atletico and Inter as the main kind of pushing for him. I've seen Southampton and West Ham apparently join the race, but I doubt they'll really have a chance. I think he should be aiming
Yeah.
for a higher level than that. A top half Premier League, or even further than that. With Inter and Atletico interest, and I think it's a perfect opportunity for Celtic to try and push a statement like Shakhtar Donetsk done with Mudryk. I'm not saying O'Reilly's near as good a player Mudryk was at Shakhtar Donetsk, because as Celtic fans know, he was frightening against us in the Champions League. But I think Scottish clubs, especially Celtic and Rangers, is the biggest two, need to start laying markers down when it comes to these players.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. They need to, because they'll keep getting taken advantage of for their stars, and they need the fees to keep to move forward and hopefully do something outside of Scottish football. Um, just want to come to you, Laurie, before we move on to other areas of the midfield and possibly talk of a Matt O'Reilly replacement. Um, you get any thoughts on the fee and the situation Celtic find themselves in? One of their star players probably heading out the door,
Of
or the
course,
star
it's
player.
yeah, of course, it's tough to lose your star player. Indeed, you even argue lose the league star player. Like Matt O'Reilly is outstanding find from Celtic, and Matt O'Reilly is evidence that Celtic can recruit well when they want. I mean, even touched on earlier the kind of scattergun approach of Celtic recruitment. Sometimes they have managed to find the odd gem because Matt O'Reilly was playing in what the third tier of England when he came up here, and I
MK
mean,
Dons, I'm sure.
yes, MK Dons ring the bell, but definitely that sort of level.
Yeah, it
Yeah, MK
does.
Dons. Um, I mean, a club with no history, but let's not go there. But yeah, so Matt O'Reilly though is outstanding. I mean, he could quite easily go to a. I'm not saying he would start every week, but he could quite easily go to one of the bigger Premier League clubs or Atletico Madrid, as mentioned. And in terms of the Scottish football transfer record, I can't think of the actual figure of it. I'm almost sure Jota's transfer to Saudi might have broken. Um, but I think O'Reilly's fee will blow that out of the water anyway. It's whether Celtic can spend that money wisely on whoever his potential replacement might be.
Uh-huh. Isn't it Kieran Tierney still?
Oh, I don't know. There's a few names that could be in the hat. It's between, I think it's between 25 and 30 million anyway.
Yeah. Could be Jota, Tierney, Bassey.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah,
too sure.
you've got it right. The figures I have in front of me here are in euros rather than pounds. If anyone's good at conversions, on you go. So
Not off the top
Jota,
of my head.
Jota, Tierney, Bassey, and the next one is Musa Dembele. And then after that, here's one for you, Alex. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Torre Andre Flo is the fifth most expensive sale. There you go. So Jota was 29.1 million euros and Kieran Tierney was 27.
Right, okay.
Um, I seen links with Jota as well. Seems that Celtic are just linked with all their big sales as Tierney as well, but there's
Well, that's
realistically,
the same. We've been linked to Ryan Kent,
yeah,
No chance.
guys who've went and been terrible in their divisions. Don't know if it's entirely both their faults. Getting phased out by basically, they're very similar scenarios actually. Phased out as soon as they're there,
yeah.
but they've struggled. But I wouldn't take Ryan Kent back. And although Jota was amazing, if I was a Celtic fan, I wouldn't take him back either because I don't like the idea of just going back to what you know.
I'd definitely take him back.
You
Um,
would.
yes, definitely.
I
It's
I
don't
it's
think
know.
mad because a lot of, I mean, my club Kilmarnock have this bad habit of bringing players back all the time. Something that works, something that doesn't work. I mean, we've literally brought a player back for, I think technically the fifth time tonight is what we called this.
Stuart
However,
Findlay.
that's maybe an exception to the rule. But as you were saying about Jota, and I'm not trying to compare these two as players, so don't go there. But it was a bit like Kelly bringing Jordan Jones back a couple of seasons ago. I think he did pretty well. Got even didn't
Cautionary
work,
tale.
and then we bring him back, and he's not a bad player, but you feel he's just not the same. Would Jota go this way? I am not going to compare them as players, but this sort of scenario, I feel could play out.
Yeah. Well, we'll touch on Kilmarnock a bit more in a minute. Just before we do that, midfielders, wingers, Matt O'Reilly replacement. Anything
uh,
for you there, Ethan?
yeah. The last few days we've been linked with Alvin Sanchez from Lausanne Sport in the Swiss league. For 4.3 million seems to be the fee that they're looking for the under 21 international with Switzerland. So yeah, he could be a replacement, but as we know, these are very early stages of this. There's a few clubs across the continent looking at him apparently, and of course we do need to sign a Matt O'Reilly replacement if he does go, and I'd imagine he would. But I'd love for us to stand strong and hold on to him. But if 30 million's been offered about, then it's difficult to turn down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if we get two central midfielders in, including Bernardo, I'd be happy with that. Who's obviously got McGregor, Iwata, Hatate, Odin Thiago Holm, who's split opinion with the Celtic fans on whether
Forgot
he
about him.
deserves, yeah, whether he deserves a chance or whether he should be loaned out or sold. I think he showed glimpses of quality, and I think he can still develop at Celtic. Loan deal could be possible, but I think he should stay at the club. Um, and that's the kind of the players that we've got in there, and I think we've got enough quality in there. If we sign this player,
Mm-hmm. So nothing in the winger positions that you would.
yeah, I would love to sign a winger. I don't think a winger's needed as much as say a left back or a goalkeeper or a Matt O'Reilly replacement. maybe Sam like a left central defender. It just needs better than what we've got. And Maeda has been great for Celtic. And same with James Forrest, but they can always go better than them. Can go better than Lewis Palmer as well, who's been very inconsistent at Celtic. And then we've got Yang, who I think a loan deal will probably be best for him to develop his career. And then I'd love to see a winger that can play probably on both wings. I think Jota would be ideal, but I really couldn't see that happening. I don't think he's going to take that much of a wage cut um, from whatever it is a week,
Yeah,
200,000.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nuts. Anyway, thanks for your insight there. Before we leave off, we can't go without giving our resident Kelly fan his say. Laura, you mentioned about Stuart Finlay earlier. You've actually brought in a few people. Um, well, you brought in one. Sorry, you brought in Bruce Anderson, Stuart Finlay. On Bruce Anderson on a permanent fee, I believe. Permanent fee, not permanent transfer, free transfer as well. From Livingston. And Stuart Findlay. Just first of all, get your thoughts on that.
Yep, so Stuart Finlay is one that I'm absolutely delighted about. I mean, he's a guy who is arguably over, probably if you were to go back last maybe 5, 6 years, Kelly's probably a person who a lot of people would regard as being Kelly's best defender, of course. In that time, he joined Kelly back in like 2017 on loan from Newcastle at the time, having played for the 3 years prior when he was still a Celtic youngster. Um, Having actually spent a bit of time at the Barton, so even maybe a little bit of experience with Stuart Finlay as a youngster, I don't know. But he's a guy who's really developed Kelly.
Ethan's from Dumbarton, by the way, for context in the podcast, just in case you
Yep,
you were wondering.
and give First Sons a wee follow as well. No, but anyway, away from Dumbarton, I can't really say too much about the Sons of the Rock, but Stuart Finlay is someone who really developed at Kelly, got a move to Philadelphia Union in the States. Didn't really play, but claimed to really enjoy his time there. But always spoke about wanting to return to Kelly. However, he went to Oxford United, played there for a season every week in League One. But then last season, he gets loaned to Kilmarnock, which was great for us, but didn't make a whole lot of sense. From Oxford point of view, considering they played them every week the season before, I don't really know what had went on there. Um, then it was just announced earlier on this evening that he'd signed for the again on another season-long loan. And if I'm not mistaken, Stuart Finley's contract at Oxford runs out at the end of next season, so I wouldn't be that surprised if he does well again, which I think he will, that he eventually ends up being a permanent Kilmarnock player
They've,
again.
it seems like they've just given them to you for free for it, and then you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Running
yeah,
down his
absolutely it
contract,
does.
you're gonna get him 2 years
Yeah,
more than you had to, without
yeah,
paying.
that's exactly what I think's happening here. I know we're talking a year in advance, but that's exactly what I think's happening.
It's so funny though. Like you mentioned there, what are Oxford doing?
I have no idea. So you play him every week when you first sign him in League One, and I'm maybe biased here, but he is absolutely fine bringing us League One, and then you loan him out to Kelly. And Kelly last summer they weren't even planning to
Wait,
sign
wait,
Stuart
no,
Finlay.
Laurie, wait, I need to stop you there. Scottish League isn't any better than League Two.
Oh, it
It's not, according
debate
to
to be
the
had.
according to the current Morecambe manager.
Oh, all right, okay, hold on to him. No, I don't know how he'd end up back at Morecambe for about 20th time. Derek Adams' career, I'm just going to say crack here. Derek Adams' career is basically Morecambe, Ross County, repeat, basically.
Yeah.
What, to be fair, Stuart Finlay always go back to Kilmarnock. I mean, Derek Adams is kind of that same sort of revolving horse. But I mean, the point is, Stuart Finlay's absolutely fine for League One. Whether he would be able to do the Championship, who knows? I mean, for the bottom end of the championship, he'd probably be okay. Actually, he's a really solid SPL defender. If he was playing for, I don't know, Hearts,
Why are you laughing at that, Alex? Do you not agree with that?
You
if he was
laughing?
playing, but I
No,
mean, what about like, would anyone really complain if he ended up at say Hearts, Kelly Van Zyl?
no, no.
No,
If Findlay ended up at Hearts,
yes.
I think the Hearts fans would complain.
I mean, he scored plenty of goals against them, right enough. No, but I, I see him a pretty solid
I need to
defender.
compose myself.
Delighted, delighted that he's signed up. I'm actually surprised that it was you, Alex, had that, and I thought it was more Ethan, maybe some sour grapes over Stuart's winner.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember that.
but yeah,
Yeah,
aye. Do you
and
want to talk quickly about Bruce Anderson?
yeah, I know a good sign that would say. I mean, the only people I've seen annoyed at it are actually Aberdeen fans that are complaining at the amount of former Aberdeen players that McInnes is signing or has signed in his team. Kelly, but I mean, he
Maybe
seems
we'll
to have
get
a
on to
fairly
that.
he
Ex
seems to have a
Aberdeen players.
fairly decent goal scoring record though for Bruce Anderson. He got into double figures last season with that Livy team, despite not starting a lot of the games. So I mean that's good going, and he'll get much better service than Kelly with Armstrong and Kennedy on either wing.
Yeah, definitely. I think Bruce Anderson's a great signing, to be honest. I think McInnes can get something out of him. I always liked him when he was at Livy. Wee soft spot for him. As he's played at Hamilton, I believe. Unless I'm making that up, I don't know. But
I think you're right.
Hamilton are Hamilton are like it's kind of weird to have two teams in the same country, but Hamilton I've got a soft spot for Hamilton, been to a few games.
Well,
But yeah, I,
Ethan does too, as we discussed with Dumbarton. So you've got Ackies. Um, Ethan is the Suns. I mean, I don't really have a second Scottish team as such, but
because you already support a team the equivalent.
well, exactly that. No, I will take
I'm
that.
joking.
I'm really
I'm
joking,
joking.
but I will take
Any
that.
Kilmarnock fans out there, don't get mad at me. But yeah, yeah.
We-
So we'll move on with more of the Kilmarnock
we'll get
stuff.
the Kelly view on your case. We'll get the Kelly view on your case, lads,
Yeah.
right? No, no, no.
So Liam Polworth extension. Very quickly, you happy with that?
Yeah, he's a player who's really came on just quickly. I mean, when he first came to Kelly, he did struggle. He actually got loaned out to Dunfermline, so he must be one of a few guys who got a Scottish Championship winners medal, while also getting relegated from the Scottish Championship.
Hmm.
Um, well, with our first season back in the Premiership and the season just gone, he's really kicked on. He got a 1 year extension last year, and then ended up getting 2 years. Added on to that this summer. So fair play to Liam Fulworth for turning his Kelly career around.
Hmm. Goalkeeper Will Dennis on his road out. Looks like you need one. Um,
Yeah.
is that something for you that's a big area?
Yeah, I think it is. We need to kind of make a decision on the goalkeeping scenario because if Will Dennis is willing to come back on loan, well, he has signed a contract with Bournemouth. He did that in the middle of last season. If he's willing to come back on loan, I'm happy enough for that. But I would love it if Kelly were to get a solid permanent goalkeeper. We discussed Robbie McCrory earlier in the show. That's maybe a reasonable candidate. I mean, as things stand, we're still in negotiations with a couple of players regarding their contracts. One of whom is Kieran O'Hara, who, if you're a Manchester United fan, his name might ring a bell to you as he came through the youth academy and a couple of senior Northern Ireland Republic of Ireland camps, sorry. And he spent the entire
Oh,
season last season sat on our bench and sorry for political stuff there by accident. I mean, it's we've got an Irish international sitting on our bench, and whenever he's played, he's been all right. But you can tell he's the backup keeper. If he's willing to be the backup for another year, fine. But obviously, we need to get another solid number one in for sure.
yeah. Um, you probably need a left back, although looks like you could get Corey and Daba. You've been linked
Yeah.
with Stevie Malin in the midfield. But the big one that I want to get to, we're running out of time. Ryan Jack has been linked with a move to Kilmarnock. What do you make of that one, Laurie?
I mean, it's split opinion amongst the Commander fans, and it's certainly split me down the middle of it as well. I mean, as time's gone on, I've kind of warmed to the idea. Of course, the thing that puts me off and puts many clubs off of Ryan Jack is the injury record. But if he stays fit, he's one of the best holding midfielders in the league. And, you know, if we're able to keep him fit, and I mean, McInnes definitely knows how to get a tune out of him. So if we can keep him fit, I'd be happy. And of course, the big stumbling block as well with Ryan Jack would be wages as well. But if he's able to stay fit, which is maybe easier said than done, and we're
A
able to
question
agree
mark.
to yes, and we are able to agree to reasonable wages, go for it.
hmm Right, so sorry to sort of speed through the Kilmarnock bit there, Laurie, but we're
Not at
running
all.
out of time. It's been a long episode. It's been a very interesting one, recapping Rangers, taking a bit of Kilmarnock's transfer, rumours, news, strategy, where they need to strengthen. I love talking about transfers. I always will. It's part of the one of the most fun parts of football. Especially when the football's not on, it's something to occupy you. Although we've got the Euros coming up soon. Uh, we will be back. Um, I'm not sure when. Um, Probably to talk about Scotland in the upcoming Euros, as mentioned. Got a game on Friday against Finland, which should be a good test, good gauge to see where we're at. But it's been a pleasure as always, lads. Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to you, the viewer, for watching and listening to this. Go and follow us on Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Where we promote the YouTube channel and we talk about all things happening in football, tweeting, interacting, that sort of thing. Well, Xing, I guess you could say. But anyway, thank you all for listening, and goodbye.